Crash course on the Soviet-style economy. Why did the Soviet Union collapse? The Soviet-style economy, also known as the command economy, is an economic system in which the government controls all aspects of production and distribution of goods and services. This system was widely used in the former Soviet Union, as well as in other communist countries like China and North Korea. Under the Soviet-style economy, the government controlled all the means of production, including factories, mines, and farms. The government would dictate what goods and services would be produced, how much would be produced, and at what price they would be sold. The government would also control the distribution of these goods and services, determining who would receive them and in what quantities. One of the primary goals of the Soviet-style economy was to achieve economic growth and development through centralized planning. The government would set production targets for various industries and would use a system of quotas to ensure that these targets were met. This system, however, often led to inefficiencies, as factories and farms would produce goods regardless of whether there was demand for them or not. Another issue with the Soviet-style economy was that it often resulted in a lack of consumer goods, as the government would prioritize the production of capital goods like heavy machinery over consumer goods like clothing and household items. This led to long waiting times for basic necessities like food and clothing, and a black market for goods that were in short supply. Despite the economic challenges faced by the Soviet-style economy, the Soviet Union was able to achieve significant economic growth during the 1950s and 1960s. However, by the 1970s, the Soviet economy began to stagnate, with low productivity and a lack of innovation. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 was caused by a combination of economic, political, and social factors. The Soviet-style economy had become increasingly inefficient and unproductive, resulting in a decline in living standards for many citizens. The country had also become burdened by a large military-industrial complex, which diverted resources away from other sectors of the economy. The political system in the Soviet Union had also become increasingly corrupt and bureaucratic, with a lack of transparency and accountability. This led to a lack of public trust in the government and widespread dissatisfaction with the political system. Finally, the collapse of the Soviet Union was also driven by social factors, including growing nationalist movements in the various republics that made up the Soviet Union. These movements sought greater autonomy and eventually led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union into independent states. One interesting example of the inefficiencies of the Soviet-style economy is the story of the Lada automobile. The Lada was a popular car in the Soviet Union, produced by the state-owned auto manufacturer Avtovaz. However, the quality of the Lada was notoriously poor, with frequent breakdowns and a reputation for rusting quickly. The car was produced for decades with little innovation or improvement, as the government prioritized the production of heavy machinery over consumer goods like cars. Another example of the challenges faced by the Soviet-style economy is the story of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. The disaster was caused by a combination of human error and design flaws in the Soviet Union's nuclear power plant system. The incident highlighted the dangers of a centrally planned economy, where critical infrastructure like nuclear power plants could be designed and operated without adequate safety measures. In conclusion, the Soviet-style economy was a centralized economic system that prioritized government control over all aspects of production and distribution. The system faced significant challenges, including inefficiencies, a lack of consumer goods, and a focus on heavy industry over other sectors. The collapse of the Soviet Union was caused by a combination of economic, political, and social factors, including inefficiencies in the economy, corruption in the government, and growing nationalist movements in the various republics. Here are 12 characteristics of the Soviet-style command economy and its outcomes. 1. Centralized planning. In the Soviet-style economy, the government controlled all aspects of production and distribution of goods and services. This centralized planning led to inefficiencies and a lack of innovation as the government prioritized production targets over market demand. 2. State ownership of industry. In the Soviet-style economy, the state owned all the means of production, including factories, mines, and farms. This led to a lack of incentives for workers and managers to be productive, resulting in low productivity and poor quality products. 3. Price controls. The government would dictate the prices at which goods and services would be sold, leading to shortages of some goods and oversupply of others. This resulted in long waiting times for basic necessities like food and clothing. 4. Lack of consumer goods. The government would prioritize the production of capital goods like heavy machinery over consumer goods like clothing and household items. This led to a shortage of consumer goods, and people would often have to wait for years to purchase basic items. 5. Inefficient agriculture. Agriculture was heavily controlled by the government, and farmers were forced to meet production targets set by the state. This resulted in low productivity, low-quality crops, and frequent food shortages. 6. Heavy industrialization. The Soviet-style economy prioritized heavy industry over other sectors, such as consumer goods or services. This led to an overemphasis on the production of heavy machinery, steel, and coal, while neglecting other sectors like healthcare and education. 7. Lack of innovation. Due to the centralized planning and lack of incentives for innovation, the Soviet-style economy was characterized by a lack of technological progress and a slow pace of development. 8. Corruption. The Soviet-style economy was also characterized by widespread corruption and a lack of transparency in the government. This resulted in a lack of public trust in the government and widespread dissatisfaction with the political system. 9. Low-quality products. The focus on meeting production targets rather than quality standards often resulted in low-quality products that did not meet consumer needs. 10. Environmental damage. The Soviet-style economy prioritized industrial production over environmental concerns, resulting in significant environmental damage and pollution. 11. Military-industrial complex. A significant portion of the Soviet-style economy was devoted to military production, leading to a drain on resources and neglect of other sectors. 12. Economic stagnation. Despite initial success, the Soviet-style economy began to stagnate by the 1970s, with low productivity and a lack of innovation leading to a decline in living standards for many citizens. This economic stagnation was a significant factor in the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union. Here is a poem on the Soviet-style economy and Soviet Union collapse. In the land of the Soviets, a planned economy was decreed. Centralized control was the goal. All industries, the state would hold. Factories churned out machinery. But consumer goods were scarce. The focus was on heavy industry, neglecting people's needs with a dare. The lack of incentives and innovation led to stagnation and corruption. Low productivity and inefficiencies were the bane of the Soviet nation. Price controls caused shortages, and quality was not a concern. Environmental damage was widespread, while the military took the biggest turn. But the Soviet Union's downfall was a result of economic stagnation. The state could not keep up with the world, and the people demanded liberation. Thus, the Soviet-style economy crumbled, and the Soviet Union met its end. The planned economy was not sustainable, and the people sought a new trend. Now we look back and learn from the Soviet Union's collapse that a centralized economy does not work, and it is the people who must surpass. ******. Start planning your next global adventure with ease and convenience with our Booking.com referral link. https://www.booking.com/index.html $8 equals 7989335 as a great choice to plan your next trip. You can find and book flights, hotels, cars, and local attractions all in one place, and their price match guarantee ensures you're getting the best deal. Thank you for kind support our AnHub Metaverse channel, and please watch more interesting videos here.